We actually have a great resource which will be available in the show notes, and you can comment below and get access to it. This is our keys to achievable outcome, actually getting your goals. And I think one of the biggest things, and Alex, you just hit the nail right on the head there with relation to the challenge that comes up a lot for people, is the lack of clarity around what it is that they want. And more importantly, what's the measure of knowing that you got it? And so when we see the lack of measurement in these goals, people will turn around and give us a state, as you said, like confidence, or I'm going to be, I want to write a goal to be happy, or I want a goal to feel certain. And it's kind of like that's a byproduct of the goal, if you like. Like, what is the actual direction on the map, which is, the destination in which you get there? What will you see? What will you hear? What will you feel? And so the keys to achievable outcome, getting your goals, is a great tool to be able to define all of the things around goal setting that perhaps maybe, people in the past haven't actually gone and looked at that detail in that certainty. Right, Brad?
Yeah, and I think if you were to set a goal and write a goal, think of a time I just want to be happy and confidence. There's states that you can have in the moment. You don't have to wait for that to happen. Using that emotional drive as a reward for a physical outcome is going to be a lot more effective, because people often say, I want more happiness. Okay, great, it's fantastic. Think of a time you felt happy. Go on that time now. See what you saw. Feel the feelings. Feeling really happy. Great, excellent, because you've been a time where you've been happy before. You can be happy in the moment, right? So that disconnect from the state to the goal is a big point. But you definitely want to have an emotional state that's a reward that you will feel after achieving the goal. But people don't get specific enough in that. And the amount of times I've sat down with someone and asked them what they want, and they're like, "Oh, I haven't really thought about that. What do I want?" And not having that vision, and not having that clarity around what you want. And then as a leader, how is that going to go when you're talking to the rest of the team about your vision and moving forward?
100%. Alex, we were having a really good conversation that I want to share with our listeners the other day about how sometimes when people are achieving success, they kind of hit a ceiling, and then all of a sudden things start to go backwards. Do you want to share with everybody what you were talking to me about the other day?
Absolutely. So, when we talk about success and people being able to achieve what it is that they're looking to achieve, sometimes they reach a certain height, and then what can actually happen is, if we're not prepared and we don't have our goal set, we're not looking for the next best thing, we can tend to fall into a little bit of a habit where we backpedal a little bit. It's like the 10 steps forward and then, like 3 steps back, and so that's a risk that you actually take. And that's why having clarity, being organized and knowing what it is that you're wanting and when, and having your goals in place and measurement and knowing when you can actually achieve it is imperative. The other thing is, because if we're not focusing on what we want, a lot of the times we're focusing on what we don't want. And we do find that as coaches, when we're sitting down with a client, we will find that, a lot of the times when we ask people, what is it that you want? We'll get a big long list of everything that they don't want. Well, I don't want this and I don't want that. And 80% of what we hear is what they don't want. But the question is, well, what would you prefer instead? And of course, it's getting people to focus on what it is that they would like instead. And what we find is, as practitioners, we find a lot of the times that there's a lot of limiting decisions or limiting beliefs that people have created for themselves that actually hold them back. And until they reach clarity and they actually deal with that, it is difficult for a lot of people to understand fully what it is that they're wanting, and being invested in making sure that they see that through. And it's lack of self-belief, and maybe it's lack of confidence, and there's a lot of different things that come into play. And I know that one of the biggest issues that we face with a lot of people is that imposter syndrome. They've got to a certain point in their career, and then all of a sudden the imposter syndrome starts to kick in. And Brad, I know that's something that you've had quite a lot of experience working with people with imposter syndrome.